And welcome back again to another exciting edition of CEMTV's Dissect this beautiful morning. My name is Bariswa Christian Onwega. We have a lot to talk about from Nigeria, your country, my country, your city, and my city. What's been trending on the NBA conference, the 66th NBA conference that was held here in the city of Port Harcourt, where a very dark man had to call the military the non-gunmen and also the bandits the unknown gunmen. It's really been causing a whole lot of drama, left, right, center, opera, where he said if you're being kidnapped in Edo State and you see a Fulani headsman picks the call, it doesn't automatically mean that the Fulani headsman actually kidnapped you, but you are rather kidnapped or planned by your fellow Edo State brother. And all of this caused the opera during the conference. Some military personnel were saying, why will you say military personnel are corrupt if they are corrupt? Also, the lawyers and the building are corrupt. Also, you, a very dark man, is corrupt. And all of the stories just making it run. Let's take a look at the skew and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. But before then, my name is Bariswa Christian Onwega, and I'm not doing this alone. I have my colleague with me. Good morning to you, Francis.
Good morning, Bariswa. It's been quite a fruitful week, quite a controversial week as well,
I know.
and a lot has happened. But we don't get to see these things happening. That we're not living in a world.
I
And we're not living in
know.
Nigeria. Many thanks to you for always welcoming us into your space, to your home, into your office, into your devices, and being part of our online community and a growing community across the board. My name is Francis Oyemade, and let's do this because if we don't give our support, if we don't learn our voice to building a better society, then we'll all suffer the adverse effect of our silence.
Well, we've heard from Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis, I'd love to take your poll on this before we go see what's happening at the Sister conference, where very dark man is saying the military personnel are the known gunmen, while the bandits are the unknown gunmen.
Well, for the longest time,
Hmm.
Nigerians have known that there is corruption deep within the hierarchies of the security architecture.
Sorry,
And it's not
correct.
just limited to the Nigerian military, it's not just limited to the Nigerian police force, it's not just limited to the Nigerian Air Force. Recall in, I think, 2019, 2020, I think 2020, during the lockdown,
Hmm.
COVID-19 period, there was this young, vibrant, very aggressive, professional Air Force pilot that was shot down somewhere, I think in Kano or Borno State
Hmm.
during the anti-terrorism drive. And that incident happened because of a reported or alleged malfunction within the chopper that she rode. And reports coming out from the military was that she always single-handedly you know, piloted the aircraft that would always take the Nigerian Air Force and military personnel into the most integral part of the terrorist hideout that some pilots would not want to go. So she was instrumental to some of the success that were recorded until
Hmm.
that, alleged tampering with her devices, which resulted in a crash and then eventually her death. So from that incident, we've seen different ambush where high security operations, high military operations, military personnel who are going on a mission are ambushed and killed by non-state actors. And we know that before any non-state actors or a group of terrorists are able to intercept a military movement, such as the one we recently witnessed in Mali, there is a high possibility that they have access to that information.
And that is
So,
coming from the
and
military.
you can have access to high profile military activities. Let's say, for instance, the Operation Epic Fury that the US President Donald Trump sanctioned against Iran.
Hmm.
For the Iranian government or administration to be able to have access to that information when it was being planned, it would take us a deep insider within the military forces in the US to leak that information, which of course will be espionage or sell that information for whatever reason for the people to now have it and now plan a counterattack. Now, that clearly showed Nigerians that we have moles within the Nigerian security forces.
Hmm.
Aside from that, In the last 4 years, in the last 5 or 6, 7 years, we've had different moves by the Nigerian government where known terrorists are rehabilitated, reintegrated, and even given access allegedly to the
Into the
Nigerian security forces, the army, and all of that. And then you ask question: how do you pick a terrorist and then bring that terrorist into the architecture of the security, the security setup that should have prevented, should have protected the people? So you bring a terrorist who you cannot vouch for, that has turned away completely from terrorism, and you bring that person into the military. You teach the person the military tactics, the military training, the military equipment,
And the
the military
secrets.
planning, and everything. And then we turn around and we see that military operations, high profile military operations, were distorted. High military operations were stopped halfway. Military personnel going on military operations were ambushed and killed without having a means of fighting back. Because it's one thing for you to move, it's one thing for you to get to where you are actually supposed to have the operation and then commence the operation. When you are ambushed, even the strongest and the fiercest military personnel will have to first scamper. And in a situation where the non-state actors, they rely on planting landmines and bombs, that the moment that sets off, the military personnel are set off course. And once, like the military personnel, the army general that was killed, how were they able to get to him? They had cut off every route of supply, gunned down all his men. So that was how they were able to get to him. All of this points to the fact that within the Nigerian security forces, there are compromises. And these compromises, for us to be able to walk away from it, the Nigerian security forces has to tell itself the truth. And what is that truth? We have to admit and acknowledge as a country, as security experts, that within the ranks and files of the Nigerian security forces, we have criminal elements. The first thing that we need to do is to acknowledge that we have them. And after acknowledging that we have them, then we can begin operation without the corrupt element within the Nigerian security forces. When the military or the police come out to say, oh no, we don't have criminal elements, we don't have, corrupt individuals, I would be forced to ask, Nigerians will be forced to ask, what happened to the corrupt element who shot a Nigerian in broad daylight? Who went against the police act? What about the corrupt element who will go against the professional standards of policing, of military engagement? Have we seen the military personnel on the road? I recently traveled to Akwa Ibom and there was no single checkpoint where the military was that they were not taking 200 naira. So are those the same military personnel that we say are not corrupt? If they can stop drivers on the road, then the driver will have to park and then walk out and go and put money where the military personnel are sitting down, and then return back, delaying motorists on the road. Are these the same kind of military personnel we are saying are not corrupt? Because the military personnel I knew, the military personnel my father saved under, were not military personnel who will come to the road and take 200 naira from motorists.
I hear you.
There were military personnel that when you see them on the road, you know that your security and your safety is guaranteed. Any driver that is carrying contraband goods knows that his own final day has come. But the personnel we have on the road, as long as you give them whether it's 500 or 1,000 naira, you have all expressway.
But if you put it side by side, some of those military personnel are corrupt. Just before a very dark man will actually say this, but it boils down to welfare. Imagine in Kenya this morning, the newspaper, rather than for them to take care of the welfare, they are introducing new uniform policy. Will the new uniform pay the school fees of this military personnel children, or house rent, or feed them, or health insurance? Don't you think we're looking the opposite direction of our trouble?
I have always learned my voice to Nigerians who believe that perhaps the people who should be the highest paid means of service should be the men and women of the Nigerian security forces. The police, the military, the Air Force, the civil defense,
The Navy and all of that.
the immigration. All of this military or paramilitary or military or armed forces are the ones or should be the ones that are paid the highest. Because if we were to categorize the level of exposure to dangers that they have on a daily basis, if we are to categorize the depth of temptation and enticement that corrupt individuals from the society will pose, it is to that. You leave the security architecture, you're going to the medical sector. But unfortunately, we come from climes called developed nations where we have failed to prioritize what needs to be prioritized.
I hear you.
And as much as we understand the welfare challenges, as much as we understand that what the government is paying is not enough to even take them home, it is also not an excuse for any individual to, get to compromise the standard. One of our guests spoke the other day and said, yes, I think it was Comrade Ledu. Yes, you are a military officer, you are a police officer, you are a member of the armed forces of Nigeria, and your salary is not helping you do anything. You're not guaranteed welfare. Your children are not guaranteed their education. In terms of that, your entitlement is not guaranteed that your wife and your family will not have to fight to
over,
to spend years screaming and protesting or trying everything to even be able to access it. That is, even they get to access it at the end of the day. But before you had taken the decision to join these forces, you knew what the salary structure was like. So you made the decision rather intentionally to be part of these security forces. And so whatever you see, you take. Which takes me back to what I've stated. That part of the reason you see even the younger generations are not eager to go to school. They're not eager to learn. They're not eager for the big certificate.
It's the aftermath.
Because we have created a society where excellence, where professional competence is sacrificed on the altar of mediocrity, on the altar of personal interest and ethnic and tribal interest, political settlement. So people, the younger generation now know that the long-standing adage, go to school, get a good degree, and you are settled for life, is no longer applicable. And when it is no longer applicable, what is the next thing? Get a tech skill. Get a skill set. Set up your business. Get to do your job. Make money, save money, and prepare for your old age. That is what works. I have said it again. There is a ticking time bomb happening in Nigeria, and a time will come when we'll have only the old people working within the civil service. And when we get to that point,
then we will understand the damage.
Level of underproductivity. We're not even having productivity within the civil service. Have you gone to the civil service secretariats across Nigeria? I mean, people just linger in and wander out. People stay from morning till night doing absolutely nothing, and at the end of the month they get paid. That is the system that we have normalized. So there are no justification for the criminal activities, but then you cannot also fault Very Dark Man. And then again, looking at the personality of Very Dark Man, when the police is saying bring out the evidence, you'll definitely be certain that when he's going to respond, we might be saying very damning evidence.
Okay.
I mean, this is a man who is not prone to making comments without backing it up.
Exactly.
Remember the scenario that played out within the Nigerian Correctional Facility and Bobrisky.
I remember.
Yes, he went all the way because
with the evidence.
He also understands that there are laws in Nigeria, and if you breach those laws, the law is no respecter of person. And like he has stated several times, that a lot of people within the government coffers are targeting him because of what he's been involved in. So he will not want to hand over
any evidence. No, he wouldn't want
to anybody.
No, he wouldn't. All right, let's travel down to River State. We're still in River State, but let's journey down to the NBACCC's conference that happened in River State.
Now let me break it down. Some parts in Nigeria where they do mining, they will contact these Fulani guys and say, oh, we discovered gold here. There's tin here. But, you know, this community, they will not let us come. We are promising you a land for you to take care of your cows, Fulani man is like, okay, and we'll give you X, Y, Z. But those people need to live there. We are the government. We are giving that place to you. You just need to move them out. Then the Fulani goes there. Pew, 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 pew. They give them the guns. Brrr. They dispose those people, and then mining starts happening there. Zamfara, think about it. Mining. The people that benefit are the elites. You see, there's a whole chain. There's a whole chain. The civil defense protects a lot of mining sites in this country. The police protect a lot of mining sites in this country. Then the corrupt military. You see, the military are very, very corrupt. Very, very.
Off your mic, Honorable, off your mic.
Then the military too, they protect a lot of mining sites. But before you assess this place, because you don't want to build these communities where you discover these mineral resources, you just want to chase them out. Then you end up killing a lot of people. When I went to Bokos, we saw minerals on the ground, in bags. You don't want them there, so you have to do, what do they call it? It's a form of land grabbing, ethnic cleansing. You just kill everybody there because you want to get something from the ground. It's a whole chain. Like I said, a lot of people benefit from this. The police, there's nothing the IG does not know. There's nothing the military doesn't know.
Mic.
There's nothing.
Off your mic, Mr.
I'll tell you.
Off your mic.
Hold on. There's nothing Nuhu Ribadu does not know. There's nothing Ogatosin does not know. They know everything.
Thank you. So you are blaming the elite and the government for all
of them.
All of them. Are you do you classify yourself as an elite? Just hold that thought. Please, can we pass?
The root cause of insecurity is politics. The people that benefit from it are the cause of the insecurity. Now, who benefits from this? The government benefits. Everything is the government, trust me. Everything is the government. The government benefits, the police benefits, the military men benefit. Since insecurity started, generals get higher pay.
So are you saying that citizens don't benefit? You know, justice is in different dimensions. Mr. Martins, are you trying to wait? Are you trying to turn my people against me here?
No. I'm here to be brutally honest.
I'm saying now that, are you saying that individual private persons don't benefit from this insecurity? Because you mentioned government.
So here's the thing, yeah? The people are the sacrificial lambs. They don't benefit nothing. So these people is their cry that the government benefits from. Oh, they killed a lot of people in Borno. We need more funding to combat insecurity. The government benefits again. The generals benefit again. See, these guys don't even have a budget. That's the craziest part. They can call the president any day and say, oh, I think we need to buy guns, so we need more guns. The president can say, give them 500 million. There's nothing. They don't write these things. They just collect money. That's why you see somebody becoming a general is owning lands. You go to Abuja, it's the generals buying all the lands. Most of these car stands, the general own the car stands. Houses, empty houses in Asokoro, they benefit. And then lately, the commissioner of police started benefiting. Like I said, everything is the government. The customs will seize contraband goods, rice. But you don't know how guns are entering Nigeria. Come on. So the people never benefit. Everything, I'm telling you, everything is the police, is the military, is the customs, the immigration. Everything is the government. All. I would also like to share this part of an information.
1 minute.
1 minute, I promise you. Start counting, please.
Yeah.
You see, the Fulanis are very important in the security of this country. Very, very important. They have a very good communication system. Their leaders can just make just one call, and everybody will just be on the pause. Nothing will happen. Their communication is really good, and the information will get to Niger, Mali, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's say in Benue. The Fulanis in Benue don't attack the people in Benue.
30 more
No, I'm coming. I'm heading somewhere. The Fulanis in Benue don't attack the people in Benue. The Fulanis that come to attack are Fulanis from outside. There's a way this whole thing happens. Now, these guns you're talking about, this insecurity, there are only one ethnic group that knows the bushes more than everybody. The Fulanis. They know the bushes more than everybody because they can walk from Abuja to Lagos inside the bushes. While doing that, some corrupt governments, they help transport guns in the bush. You see, a lot is going on that you people don't understand. The guns move from here to different states in Nigeria in the bushes. They also transport money in the bushes because they know the bushes more than everybody here. A lot is happening. I just want to open your eyes to this thing. Mind you, why are these people being used? I'm not telling you that the Fulanis are bad people. I'm telling you that a lot of them, large majority of them, are being used. Some of these kidnappings that happen in Edo State, you see Fulani man, you say the Fulani, it's not the Fulani man that kidnap you. No. It's an Edo man that kidnap you. But they bring a Fulani man that they saw in the bush, they say, just take. If they call, answer. The Fulani man will just put his face there. The Edo man will collect. Understand this. You know why the Fulanis can do that? They are not educated. And also, they have nothing to lose. These people don't buy cars. They don't buy AC. They don't buy lands. They don't buy nothing. They are very dispensable. Their houses are here. Next thing, they move from this place tomorrow. They go and put a hut there, and they move. A lot. You say, oh, Fulani herdsmen. No, it's not. It's not. These are your neighbors. These are people that know the community using these guys. A lot is happening. But above all things is the government. I'm telling you. I wish I can say more, but...
So, you seem...
First of all, a lot of you have the impression that anything you see is done by the Fulani herdsmen. I'll tell you for free that majority of them actually have nothing to do with the Fulanis, because some of these Fulanis that you see when people are kidnapped, these people are rented people. They are not the people behind the crime. And a lot of times, the government are pretty much involved in a lot of things. It's a very big topic that if I start speaking now, it looks like I really want to say, but it's politics. I'll just tell you it's politics. That's all I can say. So there's a particular case that happened in Benue where a Fulani boy was arrested. And then when he was arrested, his father came. And then when his father came, the father was disappointed. The Fulani man was disappointed that how come you are a kidnapper? He now told the police that the police should take him away. Then the guy said that he wants to say the truth. He's not a kidnapper, but he was rented by some Benue boys to actually be involved in it. So, by the end of the day, the police refused to investigate it. Like I said, it's a whole lot. My brain is, I have books, I have a lot of things. And when they were saying, oh, very dark man, you cannot make a unfounded statement without proof. Some of these things, it's hard to get the proof. It's like the miracle that Jesus did. We never met those people.
And this is very dark, man. And the sister says to NBA conference saying, so when they say she doesn't have proof, so it's like Jesus that performed the miracle. Imagine the narration where he said a Fulani boy was apprehended for kidnapping, and he opened up to his father that, Dad, I'm not a kidnapper. The Edo guy paid me. I just paused there. I was rented in broad daylight in Nigeria. So it's now very dark man versus the military, and it's coming all out that the military parastatals are corrupt people.
You know, we've seen so many dramas unfold in this country to not be
Mm.
shocked or to be surprised about anything that comes out. There was a point in this country where the federal government seemed to have been ready to audit the Niger Delta Commission, the NNPC, and we all saw the drama that unfolded. People
Mm.
fainted, people faked being sick, people, were asked to off their mics when the panel seemed to have been getting deeper, and the people were about fighting back to reveal that, look, these allegations you guys are trying to pin on me, it is you guys that are sitting on the committee and your colleagues that have been part and parcel of whatever allegations you're trying to pin down on me. We've seen this drama unfold across Nigeria, across the different strata of society. It is not a new thing. And I've always stated that for every state, for every region, there is a warlord. If you're on the streets of Nigeria, there's something we call street credibility or street knowledge.
Mm.
If you have street knowledge or you are grounded in understanding the workings of the streets across the states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or any country for that matter, you would understand that for every region there are warlords. They are not employed by the government, but the government recognize their role and what they represent in these countries or in these states in the context of Nigeria. And so, just like the security forces will come to an area and say, oh, we're looking for this particular criminal element, and there is somebody who can say, look, or let me paint a vivid picture. There is how criminal activities happen, let's say in Port Harcourt, for instance, and one big criminal that is somehow in bed with the security forces.
Mm.
And you go and ask, oh, there was so and so armed robbery incident at so and so place, so and so day. And he would just ask, what and what and what was stolen? And you respond. And from that response, the person will tell you which criminal organization carried out that attack. The security forces know. Just yesterday, we're listening to the governor of Rivers State, Similaye Fuba, talked about the site that has now been used for a hospital. It was a criminal hideout. It was a criminal den. That clearly tells you that the government know where these criminal elements are. And I will also maintain the stand that, see, no criminal will come from Lagos and operate in Port Harcourt without working with criminals in Port Harcourt. No criminal will leave Abuja to Benue State and operate without working with criminals in Benue State. There is no way you find an Aboki or a Fulani man in any region operating as a criminal. It's either he's a victim, because like very diamond as I highlighted, they're not well educated.
They are not.
They're not well grounded.
They are not ready to buy a car.
Hashtag Russia must be US must go protest that happened a few years back when we saw people who were arrested. They didn't even know why they were protesting. They didn't know what the issue was about.
No clue.
All they knew was protest. When were you protesting? No idea. Why were you protesting? No idea. What was the essence of the protest? No idea. So these people are the endangered species, and that's why sometimes when people want to stereotype a particular region, yes, we know that majority of the extremists are from the northern part of the country, but that does not take away the fact that some of the kidnappings and the torturing and the killing that is happening are not actually being orchestrated by them, but they have been hired to be agents. Because people know that they are disposable, and like very damn man,
They're very disposable.
How many Hausa Fulanis in the states of the Federation actually rent apartments? How many of them own cars? Let's say in Port Harcourt, for instance, if we have to look at the percentage of those who are sleeping in the streets, the percentage of those who are sleeping in the forest, compared to those who actually have houses, like they're paying rent, you will see that it's an insignificant percentage. So when people, it's a natural phenomenon, but when people see a gap that they can exploit, they capitalize on that. And so one thing that we need to do. Remember the last time we talked about, the mass wedding in
Kano State.
I said it here that we are breeding weapon of mass destruction for Nigeria generally, because you can't encourage irresponsible people or irresponsibility across board in a state like that, and you expect that it's not going to spiral out of proportion. When they can no longer take care of it, what happens? Look at Port Harcourt, look at Abuja, look at Lagos, look at where I'm from. Who are the beggars? These are the people that are roaming the streets of Nigeria as beggars. Why? Because a particular state or a particular group of people have decided to be irresponsible. I mean, even birds feed their young ones.
And we're aiding them.
And take care of their siblings. So how much more men, human beings formed in the image and likeness of God, are allowed, depending on whatever religion you believe in. Now, being able to father children that they cannot cater for, children they cannot feed, children they cannot clothe, children they cannot send to school, children they cannot bring up and even help to a point where these children can stand on their own. Barrister, when we encourage these kinds of things, what are we planning for? We're planning for mass destruction of the Nigerian society. Because a time will come when these irresponsible children, fathered by irresponsible men, empowered by irresponsible governments and administrations across board, will become the time bomb that will destroy the society. So I understand the perspective that Very Dark Man is coming from. And truth is, the government of Nigeria, the security forces of Nigeria can actually stop whatever is happening. And if the government of Nigeria says Very Dark Man is not saying the truth, then the government should tell us, for the last 2 decades or so, or the last 8 or 16 years, how many times have the government come out to say strong individuals are financing terrorism? How many times have the federal government threatened to publish the names of terrorism financiers?
And they just put it under the carpet.
How many times have they actually come out to publish the names of terrorists or terrorism financiers in Nigeria? How many prosecutions have we seen? In the list that was recently released, how many of them are strongmen that all of us across the geopolitical zone in Nigeria can say, oh, these individuals are strong politicians. They are strong men from their state to the federal level that we can hold and say, okay, yes, the federal government has done it. Even the president at some point said, look, the cabal or who were benefiting from the fuel subsidy were after his life. So if the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces can make that kind of statement, what happens to the common man? And let's not forget the allegation that talked about, the illegal mining. The advocates for resource control came from a point where many video footages on social media, many security experts from up north have said it, that the insecurity up north is a disguise to smuggle solid minerals out of the north.
He also mentioned it.
You're looking at lithium, that is, you're looking at solid mineral that, if allowed to be announced properly, can turn around the entirety of Nigeria. That, in fact, we will not be having to stress for anything because people will work and actually see what they're working for. But because a few individuals do not want these benefits to go to the Nigerian society, they put up with insecurity. And because the government is not resolute enough to deal with the insecurity problem, they continue to win. So, if the Nigerian government says Very Dark Man is not saying the truth, they should tell us. In the whole country, when he came on board, he said Nigeria was going to diversify into solid mineral. How much of diversification have we seen? How much of solid mineral mining have we done in Nigeria? What is the solid mineral department bringing into Nigeria? Because if we were to say, then we'll say that the solid minerals should have been able to compete fairly and squarely with the oil that is generating what Nigeria is depending on. So until the Nigerian government is able to address all of these concerns, they cannot say Very Dark Man is not saying the truth. And you cannot say he's not saying the truth with just words. Show us the evidence. Have we been able to weed out insecurity? In the different mines that have been highlighted across North, can we say that, how many times have we seen rare earth being loaded on bikes and you have conversations with people from there, and you see how it goes. Recently, who was it? There was a trending video where a young woman who bought iPhone with raw cash.
We're coming back to that.
So you ask, where did that cash come from?
Okay, Francis, I hear you. Well put together. It's so sad that Nigeria, it's now the country that the top elite, the government, the military, all of them put together, feed on the life of her citizens. You came empty-handed. You will go empty-handed. Well, have you paused for once to ask what will become of your children? The generation to come after you've gone. All right, let's move down to Lagos State, where a young lady left her money in Access Bank, traveled to Dubai. She was sending all her money to that particular account, only for her to come back and find out that her account was empty. Not even 200 naira was left in that account. Let's go to Lagos State. We'll be right back.
Statement. As you guys can see, I've been putting money in my account, but I arrived in Nigeria. I cannot find my money. I came here to Access Bank. The first day I went to Access Bank, I cannot find my money. They told me that it's under investigation. I came again today. They only told me that it is that they contacted with their headquarters. So they gave me a beneficiary. They gave me a beneficiary for me to go to OPay and Money Point. So I don't know how I want to move now. Please, I really need help. Please, I really need help because I can't do this alone. After they gave me this person has been taking money from my account. October 2025, they started taking money. I've been asking Access Bank. I hope that the money is safe. I just want my money to be safe. I've been sending emails. To them, giving them what they requested, utility bill and everything. I asked them, is the money safe there? They said yes, my money is safe. There's no ongoing transaction. October 2025, they started taking money from my account. They took everything. Not even 200 naira was left in the account. Now I'm here now. Please, Nigerians, please, I really need help. Please tag the authorities for me so my money can be out. Please, I really need help. I know what I went through. Please, I really need help. I don't know where to start from anymore. Please, I really need help. I need help, please. Now I'm going to, they said, the lady in there in Access Bank, she told me that I should go to the police and open a file and give the beneficiary details to the police. But I swear down to God, I do not have any money. I don't have any money to start going to the police. All I want is for Access Bank to give me back my 3 million naira. Please, I don't have any money. I don't know where to go. I don't have any money. Please, I need help. Please, I need help. I just want my money back. I trusted Access Bank so much. They took my money from me. Please, I really need help. Please, these are all the bank statements. These are all the bank statements. You see? These are all the bank statements.
I'm talking of 5 million naira at stake here. 5 million naira sent to Money Point account, and they are telling me modified account. Tell on the Money Point. This is 5 million naira at stake now, and they want me to move to come on, sorry me. Let me know the data thing. Let me go there. Let me go to their office. If you cannot help me, let me go to their office. And they want me to be zombie, and then buy me all around, then buy me be ball. As out now, they want the Money Point. Most of your money metal all the way from here. Do you think that money is easy to see? But then so where they taught me, reply email, all the accounts.
What has become of Nigeria? I don't know what is going on. First, it was a lady that traveled to Dubai for a greener pasture, and she was able to send in 3 million naira to her Access Bank account. And since last year, 2025, someone has been taking money from her account to October. She got back to Nigeria. She couldn't find not even 200 naira. Now they're telling her to go to OPay and get the police involved. And you know what will happen? You get to the police, they'll tell you, bring all of this evidence, do all of these, and she doesn't even have a dime to take care of herself, not alone pursue this police issue. Aside from that, they saw another lady also trending that she said 5 million naira was sent to her money point account, I beg your pardon, but it wasn't reflecting. As if that wasn't enough, she went to Money Point agency. They were telling her different stories that does not relate at all. Francis, I just want to know what is going on. That you work all your life or for a period of time, knowing how difficult it is in certain country, come back to get your money, you can't get it anymore. Now you send money to your own account, they say it's not reflecting. Meanwhile, you've been debited and they're telling you to go to another agent bank. Make it make sense, because I don't even want to go deep into this.
Well, it's a sad narrative, and the aftermath effect of some of the ugly turns in my life can be traced to a bank. I had a crazy encounter in 2020. I just entered a reality show in Lagos. I got, as at then, 1,500. As at 2020, was about 800 and something thousand, plus or minus the add-ons that came as a result of that winning. I had about 1 point something million in my account from that competition alone. And guess what happened? Just 48 hours after that money was credited to my, or a week after that money was credited to my account, it disappeared.
Just like that.
It disappeared. I just gone to the POS to take out a token to just, throw a little celebration to appreciate my family and friends who supported me through the reality show. And then, boom, I was told no money in that account. This was on a Saturday, and by Monday, by Sunday, I began receiving debit alert in
Just like that.
100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and before you know it, the account was reduced to nothing. And when I went to the bank, the lady at the customer service got me to a point of a reaction I wouldn't want to share. But why am I sharing that story? When we were told as Nigerians to do a bank verification number, we were told that this is going to be the highest level of security.
True.
And that as a bank customer, with your BVN and other security measures, nobody was going to be able to take your money. And even when you enter your card details, for instance, for those of us who do online transactions and purchases, without the one-time OTP code that comes in, nobody's going to be able to complete that transaction. But we can say for a fact, as we are today, that the moment you enter your details, even for platforms that you do not enter your details, and somebody have access to your card details, especially for MasterCard, you can wake up and see your account wiped clean. And the bank that is supposed to take care of your money will leave you to fight for that missing fund.
Same money you put in their system.
You put into the card. It is just of recent that we've seen the CBN begin to climb down. I mean, let's look at the statistics. Just recently, we've seen a total of 19.12 billion naira. That's about 329.3 million US dollars paid to customers across Nigeria by different banks in Nigeria as a result of failed complaints that were, eventually resolved. You're talking about transactions that, were sent and didn't go through, but the bank said it went through. You're talking about people who sent money and they never got delivered. You're talking about monies that were sent to people and it never come through. I mean, recently I've had instances of I sent money to my wife, and 3 days later she's calling me to say, look, that money that you sent is not in the account. And I went and printed my account statement.
Mm-hmm.
I just went and printed the account statement from that day and sent it to her. And then she saw it, it still has not reflected. This was like 4 days after I made the transaction. It's just this week. then in the midst of that, that is when the money now come back. And I had to transfer it back. So probably because I've generated account details, somebody behind the scene who was trying to steal that money now realizes, oh, this might bring
investigation is going on,
and then decided to reverse the money back to my account. Because the CBN policy says 48 hours. If there's a failed transaction, refund somebody's money within 48 hours. So it goes to show how fragile, or should I say, how corrupt the systems across Nigeria is. Because if I put my money in your bank, I should be able to come back and see my money as long as I did not authorize that money to be taken out. And like the young ladies have stated, different emails clarifying, is my money safe? And you said it's safe. I have not authorized any transaction. You said yes, you have not authorized any transaction. Your money is safe. Only for the person to return back, and there is no money to go back.
No cover, not a dime.
I hope the young lady is not just crying on social media that she's taking legal actions, because as long as you have your details and you did not initiate any transaction, then
but Francis, you can see her cry on this on net saying she doesn't even have a dime to her name. How is she going to pursue this case?
Well, I know that as far as issues like this are concerned, there are lots of lawyers who will handle those cases pro bono.
Pro bono.
A lot of lawyers who are willing to do that, because it is until we get to a point. The CBN is trying in recent times.
No, they are.
To refund these monies, because we've seen in the midst of all these failed transactions, banks will still announce astronomical profits at the end of the year. Who is benefiting? You make a transaction and you get charged multiple times, but that transaction fails. And when they are refunding, they're not refunding the transaction.
No, they're not. No, they won't even do that.
So there's a lot of corruption happening within the financial sector that needs to be addressed. And this is where Nigerians will say, look, if the CBN wants to regulate, it is not just about setting the policies in place. We should actually see these consistencies. I mean, look at that amount of 19.12 billion refunded.
Some persons will say in the banking sector, all you have are senior Yahoo boys. Permit me to use local part. Senior Yahoo boys behind a computer. They come all out, they're doing white collar job, but behind the scene, they have what they are doing. And this is actually playing out. Because tell me how I put my money in a bank and I come back, I can't find it. I didn't authorize anything. I didn't say pay to a certain person. Now you're telling me to go to OPay. OPay and Access, what's the relationship? Or is it the one that deposited money to her own money point account? You're saying the money can't be traced. She should go to OPay, and she's asking, what sort of craziness is this? Am I related to OPay in any way? Make it make sense, because this is too much. We can't even trust the system. But the CBN governor really needs to put his leg down and do more than what is doing. I know they are trying, but also need to put effort. If we're shouting the change we clamor about, aside from politicians, how about you? On insecurity, let's take a look at what happened in a certain state in Nigeria where a young Fulani girl was caught buying an iPhone 17A with raw cash in broad daylight. Do you know what iPhone 17 is? And she came all out with that cash, and she's not even a content creator. What do you do for a living? How did you get this money to get this phone? All of this question was setting question to put in place before even granting our audience, because from my age, if you see what's happening on media, she's even up to 20 or 25. Let's take a look at it. We'll be right back.
Allah ke san muna kudin mu jama'a ga ne mai kafasi. Tatto tace a bata iPhone 17 iya sabuwa kuma la da kash tatto. Allahu akbar. Dadi ba a cin karondo. Wai an goba ka wa Allah. Jama'a muna sai sama mutane, muna sai sama hillani, to yanzu ba hillata mai capacity ta dawo. Tace a bata iPhone 17 Air a bude ta naira miliyan kai Azra'ilu ka dauki kudin ka saro Allah mu bata wayarta. A kawo adiba a gani ka a ce ba original ta kisi ba. Ga kwalin wayarki. Jama'a ga waya. Ga kwali. Magano mori all terabyte. Don Allah da annabi ina na take sai su kan sauka, don ko ni ya kamata in tayin su. Don Allah faɗa mana ina na take sai. Alƙilla na. To shi wancan da tore ke ɓo huska ta halan tsoro yake mata ta gani. Wala mallaka duk.
Alright, and this is what we get in Nigeria today. iPhone 17 Now get it. If you're an iPhone user, you know what we're talking about. But if we do this math, which I'm about 1.6 million for that phone for someone that doesn't have a job. You can see how fresh she looks. And Francis, why are you laughing? 1.6 million naira for iPhone 17 Air for a girl that's not even a content creator.
No, that's a child in the first place.
Okay.
That's a child. And that image just takes my mind back to something that trended just recently. The 13-year-old who was diagnosed in a tube.
Yes, from the pharmacy. And you say you were going to do decisively with the mother, not even the pharmacist.
That is a child. What is a child doing with that kind of money? How did she come by that kind of raw cash? What is a child going to do with an iPhone 17? That is what 1.6. The money that should be used to buy a land. Let's assume she comes from a wealthy family. Where are her parents? Did they sanction the money she's using? Or is that stolen money? Is that proceed from a criminal activity? These are questions we should ask. You know, in recent times, I've consumed a lot of content coming out from the Nigerian police force. And while I commend the IGP Olatunji Digital for some of the jobs that he's doing, I think Nigeria has gotten to a point where, as a parent, you have to, unless you want your child to become a criminal, you have to be very intentional in seeing through what your child does every day and who your child associates with. I recently engaged the content by a special division from the police going out to school and, you know, preaching the message of security, where the police personnel highlighted the fact that in a particular school they visited, they encountered students who were using phones that their mothers, their fathers could not afford.
Oh my God.
So you're looking at a child in secondary school using a phone that the combined resources of both the mother and the father cannot afford in 3 years. And you ask, where is that money coming from? And the sad narrative that came out was that when she decided to take the phone, seize the phones from the children, and take it back to the force at the police station, the parents came clamoring for the phones. And then in the process of handing over the phones, one, that the mother said, oh, this is not his phone, it's the sister's phone. Today is the only day, it's the first day he took the sister's phone out. And by some prompting, the police lady decided to say, okay, open the phone, young man.
Since it's your sister's phone.
And guess what the revelations were? Pornographic pictures and videos of classmates. And according to the story, they were selling that on the dark web for money. You're talking about 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds.
Oh my God.
So you ask, what are these children doing? How have we deteriorated to the point where parenting is no longer parenting? Because if you look at the child there that is buying that phone, you will clearly see that this is a child. And that raises a lot of questions. Because I mean, these are scenarios where these kinds of children should be arrested and proper investigation done. The phone shop where she went to should have called the police, have her arrested. Let's get to know where she got that kind of cash from.
Oh my God.
Because, like the police is saying, if you see something, say something. Security is every man's job. If we allow every child to be able to have access to millions and just walk up and pick up whatever they want, soonest we will become a community where anything and everything goes.
You know, Francis, it used to be a community that raises a child, but now you don't dare. It's a mother and a father. Because when you go all out to scold a child that's misbehaving, you see the parent clamoring for you. That is my child. My labor room Go and have your own child. And all of these give birth to all of this nuisance that we see, different behavior in the country to start with. Because tell me how a mother will tell a child, no be your mate, they buy car for people. Excuse you. What are you putting? What picture are you painting? If they are made to buy car for people like you painted, why don't you have a car? This is crazy.
Well, it is rather unfortunate that we are not even prepared for the kinds of things that will come out to us from our children in the next couple of years. And that's why I say to every Gen Z, I say to millennial parents, if you want your child to be different, then you have to train your child differently.
I hear you.
I started out from teaching in the nursery school, and I've seen situations where children refuse to be friends with other children because these other children, when they are dropping them off from school, the mother uses tricycle,
Yeah.
the mother uses bike, while they come in
Luxury
in a
cars.
luxury car or in a car, and so they already begin to feel that no, I cannot associate with this one,
Segregation.
I cannot associate with this one. My little nephew now in JS3 attempted that once. There was a period I used to drive him to school every day, and then one season the vehicle broke down and it took longer at the mechanic because normally we try to service the car over the weekend, but this one something broke down and could not be fixed throughout the weekend. So the next week we got a tricycle to get him to school. And when we got to the gate, he said, no, we should drop him at the gate. And I asked why. He said, because his classmates, when they see him now dropping from
A
a
tricycle.
tricycle, they will laugh at him.
Excuse you.
I drove that tricycle straight to the school gate. I brought him out. And I told him, your worth is not determined by the vehicle you drive to school. Because whoever your mother or your family is, you cannot guarantee that when you grow up, you'll be able to achieve what your parents have
I'm
achieved.
telling you.
And even with all of the blessings in this world, the fact that you've been able to achieve something doesn't mean the next person is lesser than you are, because you never can tell how the table will turn.
On this conversation, Francis, I will urge the Nigerian government and also our parents to inculcate what's going on in China. They don't just bring children to school in China. What they do is relationship. They build relationship. You meet up with this one, you eat with this one. Now in China, how their early age is beautiful. If you take a look at it, I did my research some days ago. Like, this is fantastic. Where you see children, early age children from 3, 4, 6, and all of that, all together, playing as friends, eating together, no segregation. Tell me, if you raise children that way, how beautiful and united the society will be in years to come. Can we actually imbibe this culture in our children for a better Nigeria tomorrow?
We can and we cannot. It depends on the individual. Because if you look at the society now, even marriages are contractual. We're looking at political affiliations, political majors to determine who son marries which daughter, which daughter marries which son, whose son does my daughter marry, and whose daughter is my son going to marry. We're looking at business associations, business deals. So everything and majority of things happening across Nigeria have been reduced to economic value. Have been reduced to political connections, they've been reduced to contract awards, they've been reduced to societal status. So people are addicted to titles, people are addicted to names, people are addicted to that extra iPhone or that extra attachment that makes them feel like they're more important than the next person. And because we have gotten to that point, that's why you also see the craze and the drive for titles. So one person will want to get a doctor, professor, ambassador, honorable, and when the person wants to be addressed, will say, add all my titles. You don't know what it took me to get those titles.
Is it the part where you hear my names are?
So it is not the title.
Okay.
These are empty shells.
I'm telling you.
If you look at most people who are bearing multiple titles, they're empty shells. And that is why I love the Igbo man. Educated or uneducated.
You must learn a
With
trade.
his wealth, you would hardly see except the few ones that are proud and arrogant. But you would hardly see, you can see a wealthy Igbo man here, and you will not know till tomorrow. Until the situation calls for him to show doing.
Oh, they are good at disguising.
And the same thing is applicable to the people we call the houses.
Mm-hmm.
They are selling by the market, they're selling their rice.
But they're billionaires.
Millions, they're millionaires. But you see them from January to December. One set of design of clothes. One palm slippers. But when it is time to show doing, you will discover that with your well-tailored suit and designer shirts and shoes, that you are nowhere close in terms of means compared to that person that is simply and seemingly shabbily dressed.
I hear you.
So until we get to a point where humans, Nigerians, Africans, people across the world understand that titles don't make the individual.
Titles don't make the individual.
Means are what makes individual. What you are able to bring to the society, what impact you make, are what makes a society. And that is why we have, the conversation around the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, the private industry and employers of labor saying we have too many big degree carriers. We don't have the hands capable to do the job. Because the Nigerian society particularly has become a place where degree determine what you get. Remember we spoke with a guest just recently and said, in senior climbs, you can learn on the job, become a professional, and grow to a managerial position
without having any ambiguous degree.
Except for a few private organizations that are their CEOs and their owners are well exposed and understand the need to focus on professionalism, the need to focus on delivery.
I hear you.
But go to the larger space. From the civil service structure is the same way. And we are not aware that even in the civil service of Nigeria, somebody who has an HND cannot grow past a certain level in the hierarchy of the civil service.
Which is an error. It's actually an error to start with, because if you start looking, do you know there are some engineers that are actually OND holders, but they know their job more than you that's a doctor degree holder, BSc holder, and all of the title. The work, the practice. Alright, let's move down to Lagos State, where environmentalists were able to rescue a child at a dump site. I mean, I don't know what is coming of Nigerians. If you're not ready to have a child, why go on 9 yards? If God has given you the grace and you're able to have that child, people call it favor room now. Why abandon that child on a dump site, or on the road, or wherever you want to? Why? There are millions of people out there that actually need children. If God has blessed you, why don't you take that child to a motherless baby's home? What's wrong with that? Take that child to a motherless baby home. Let's travel down to Lagos State. We'll be right back.
Nice one, thank you. Nice one. Nice one. Try. Fine boy, bye you.
And Francis, what's your take on that?
Well, it's a sad narrative and a very sad one. I think Nigeria has grown to a point where every young woman who is not prepared to be a mother, who has no business with being a mother, who made a mistake of getting pregnant by an irresponsible man who is not ready to be a father, not ready to be a partner, should do the right thing. And that is simply taking yourself and that innocent child to a government approved facility to say, look, this is my child. I gave birth to him or her, but I cannot take care of this child. Give the child to the system, give the child to the government, let the government put up that child for adoption. There are people looking for the fruit of the womb. There are couples who have been married for decades and are still believing God to have children, but have not. So if you have been blessed to have one, you should not take that for granted. I recently interacted with a content on social media that should be a lesson that I'd like to share with everybody, man or woman, of a young woman who was in a relationship during her college days. And because of the strict background he had, both she and the boyfriend, according to the story she posted, were not ready to have
Children. Okay.
She got pregnant. The boyfriend said, we are not ready. Aborted. When she tried several pills and the abortion did not happen, she decided to play around and plotted with her friends, abandoned things. I mean, the course she studied, according to her, was one that she rarely visited home. So she was able to maneuver, go hide somewhere, deliver that child, and then abandon the child.
Oh my.
And return back like nothing happened. Fast forward to years later, 16 years later, she and the said boyfriend are married, but they don't have a child. Not one. And now she's on social media ranting and calling for sympathy, wishing she can find the daughter she abandoned 16 years ago.
Oh, holy. What was this?
We do things without looking at the repercussion. My lecturer would always say, as a man, I respect a young woman who gets pregnant, planned or unplanned, and decides to keep that pregnancy. Because abortion does not make you not to be a mother. It makes you the mother of dead children.
I'm telling you.
So if you've aborted 20 times, you're a mother of dead 20 children.
It is not smart at all. That's not smartness.
And you are doing more damage to
yourself.
not just your system, but the society as well. And at the end of the day, you'll come back to blame your mother-in-law or your father-in-law or your own mother and father as being the witches and wizards and occasioned by the foolishness within the religious circle.
And all of this has spiritual implications.
And you say, oh, it was somebody that caused it. So I wish the Nigerian society and people around the world would understand. As a young woman, if you're not ready to be in a relationship, don't be in a relationship. If you're in a relationship with an irresponsible man, then walk away from that relationship. And if you get pregnant and the man who seemed to have been responsible is an irresponsible man, put to bed. Go to government facilities and hand over that child so that somebody, a family who truly needs a child, can adopt that child and take proper care of that child. Every child has a destiny. Every child has a purpose, has a vision. You never can tell why that child was given to you. I think it was last year that a woman trended when she and her son posted. The son just graduated from the Nigerian Air Force, and then he made the post. Fast forward to 23 years when she was much younger, an irresponsible man got her pregnant and disappeared. And she decided to put to bed that child and raise that child. And today, that's the only child she has. She's in her 50s. And that's the only child she has. She's not married. So imagine that she had decided as a then to abandon or to abort that child. She will be in her 50s, not married, and not without a child. Nobody to look after her. It's a sad narrative, and it's a celebration also that the baby has been found. I like to believe that those who have rescued the officials would do justice,
of
put
course,
the child into the right system, and prayerfully, hopefully, God on the child's side, a family that cares adopts that child
genuinely,
care that the child needs. But we need to get past this as a society.
Well put together, Francis. I don't know, but ladies out there, if it doesn't mean well for you, if his intention isn't pure, please close your legs or use protection. Bringing an innocent child into the world itself that is difficult for yourself. How do you expect to cater for that child? And like Francis rightly put, if you know you can't cater for that child, take that child to where that child will be catered for. All right, let's move down to President Donald Trump, where him and Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister, is saying Christians killing. We don't support it, be it in Nigeria and any other country. I'll be right back.
While I am in the White House, I will defend Christians and all Americans of faith 100%. You have it 100%, and you've seen it already. So while I am in the White House, I will defend Christians and all Americans of faith 100%. You have it 100%, and you've seen it already.
And the axis, the Sunni axis, led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which permeates everything. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria. And we are conscious of the fact that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Nigeria, in Turkey, and beyond. And we're also aware of the fact, as you are, that one country protects the Christian community, enables it to grow, defends it, and makes sure that it thrives. And that country is Israel. There is no other. None. So Christian Zionism facilitated the rise and success of Jewish Zionism. There are some people who believe that, that faith should be silent and terrorism should be understood. No. Faith should speak its voice and terrorism should be confronted, not understood, confronted and defeated. And that is what we're engaged in right now. So I want you to know that I spoke with President Trump yesterday. I said this publicly too. I see the battle against us and the battle against our Judeo-Christian tradition basically being waged around the globe. And it's waged primarily by two forces, radical Shiite Islam and radical Sunni Islam. That means the axis that is led by Iran, much battered, admittedly, but still there, and the axis, the Sunni axis, led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which permeates everything. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria, and we are...
The White House and also the New African Network for that clip. Francis, you've seen from Donald Trump to Benjamin Netanyahu. See, I see all of this fight against Christians from different religions, be it the Islamic group, coming all out against Christians in different countries. I see, and I don't support it. What's your take on this?
Well, President Donald Trump, up until recently, had most of Nigerian respect, but in recent time, because of some of the comment that begin to make it look like he's not really all out. A lot of Nigerians are beginning to have COVID, but so far he has been very firm and standing for Christians. If you look at some of the policies in America, he has shown that he's a Christian and he believes in nothing else and nobody and no power but God. And so you can understand from that context that he is going to fight for Christians, not just in America, but across the world. For Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has also maintained the stand. And I'll always reference this to leaders. They might have their shortcomings here and there, but one thing that we all need to agree is that the true Quran does not teach extremism, it does not teach fanaticism, it does not teach violence, it does not teach killing. But the perverted and twisted version, or the perverted and twisted interpretation by the extremists, backed by the Iranian terrorist organization, the Shiites and the Al-Shabaab, the ISIS, the Al-Qaeda, and the rest of the breakout factions, including the Lakwaras in Nigeria, recent times, all of these people come from one stock. The people who believe that if you're not a Muslim, like them, who is a fanatic, then you're not worth living. If you're a Christian, it's even worse. You're an infidel. If you're a Jew, you're an infidel. And that is where you begin to see the radicalization and the targeting and the mass killings that has happened across the world. And I say, you trace down terrorism, it will always go back to one country, Iran. And at the end of the day, like Benjamin Netanyahu stated, if we go by the constitutions of the world, Nigeria inclusive, there's freedom of expression, there's freedom of worship, there's religious freedom, there's freedom of expression. So anything that goes against these constitutional provisions is not a matter of religious affiliations, is terrorism. And you don't try to understand with terrorism, which is what Nigerians as a Nigerian government have been trying to do. You're using kinetic and non-kinetic because you're sympathetic to the terrorists. What terrorism needs is to be obliterated. It means if you are a terrorist and the country identifies you as a terrorist, you should be wiped
Take
out from
them
the
off.
surface of the earth, because you don't have anybody's interest at heart. And unfortunately, we've seen many African countries not understand that, including Nigeria, and that is where Israel stands. And regardless of the comments coming out and people calling out, I mean, even South Africa that said Israel was committing genocide in Iran and Lebanon, and today committed so many genocides. They have committed so many atrocities,
More than people they accuse.
across, with the xenophobic attack happening in South Africa. So Benjamin Netanyahu is standing for his people. He's standing for Christians. The Christians across the world will ask for a lot more. And if you look at their standpoint, it is totally objective. It is totally just. It is totally in line with the different laws and legislations across the different countries of the world. Globally, there's freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of association, freedom of expression. And so when you target another person because of his religious belief, you are the problem, and you are not to be understood. But you are to be dealt with decisively, because you are the one who is failing to understand that the same right you have to practice your own
It's
religion,
the same right the other person
has the same right to
too.
practice his or her religion. And what you owe that person is to respect the person's rights and choices. If you fail to do that, you are the one breaching the law and should be dealt with decisively.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. Well put together, and this is where we draw the curtain. But before we go, 1 second, what do you have to say to our audience?
Well, this week has been a beautiful week, probably rounding us off for the month of August in just a few more days, a couple more hours, and we'll call it a wrap and begin to welcome the Ember Month. In Nigeria, as we wind down to the election or the campaign proper, please play politics with your senses. Let go the violence, the thuggery. Don't expose yourself, your family members, or don't be the weapon fashioned against your brother or your sister or your community during this election period. If the politicians and their children are not in the front of the war, do not be a part of it. And even when they are in front of it, distance yourself from it, because when the police come calling for those who foment trouble, the politicians will leave you alone. They will abandon you, and you will face the full wrath of the law on your own. Together we can build a better Nigeria, and it all starts with making the right decision on who we vote at the polls. So get your PVC, be prepared, judge the candidates across the political parties that are presenting them to you, and at the end of the day, decide with your conscience, not because of enticement, who you trust that vote to, because that person can be the difference between whether or not you live for the next 4 years or you die midway.
All right, then I'll tell you, get your PVC, vote your conscience. Please don't get swayed by the little money top politicians are going to give to you. Because if they give you 10 million, imagine how many billions goes into their account and that of their children and their counterpart. You should be smart. Use your head. Don't sell your vote, because your future is bigger than that money they're going to pinch to you. Do have a beautiful day. My name is Bariswa Christian Winger, and I've been doing this with
Francis Oyima, and many thanks for joining us.
And we call it a wrap. Enjoy the rest of our broadcast. Thank God it's Friday.